out there about the size and all of this stuff, but people forget that Tank's a top 10 pound for pound fighter, and he's got power in both hands. And skill wise and technique wise, he's been doing this for so long.
In this fight,
I feel like Tank has the edge for sure. You know, he's a real fighter, you know, and got skills, high IQ fighter. Regardless of the weight, you know, I've personally seen Tank, you know, spar heavyweight.
Right, you have to understand, I went from doing YouTube and Disney Channel to 5 years, you know, once to twice a day, 6 to 7 days a week, training, recovery, taking it more serious than ever. I'm just a different specimen. My body is filled out. I'm going into my athletic prime, and going into that and my body filling out, I just feel amazing and feel super strong. Going into a fight that I've actually ever been, because I know how good these people are that I'm sparring, and being able to see how good they are and knowing how good Tank is, it's actually going to be my toughest test to date.
Yeah, I think, Jake, you could make the argument, right? Pound for pound wise, this guy's the most ferocious dude in the whole sport, couldn't you?
For sure, for sure. I think he has probably one of the highest knockout percentages
Yeah,
in
90
the whole
something
entire
percent,
boxing.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. And just his speed, his elusiveness, his ring IQ, his conditioning, you know, he's gone 12 rounds so many different times, something that I've never even done. So he's going to be sharp all the way through. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so just actually being vulnerable for a second, it's like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. This is scary. It's kind of keeping me up at night.
Jake, how do you prepare for, like you said, a guy who is shorter than you? How do you find a sparring opponent to replicate something that obviously, you know, there's nobody else out there that's Tank Davis? How do you prepare for a guy that's different stature wise?
Yeah, no, we have world champions. Raymond Ford in the 130-pound weight class. We got Montana Lovin. Shakur Stevenson is coming in this week. So
Wow.
just sparring against guys on their level, and people who have, you know, been doing this their whole entire lives. But we're really focusing on speed, and not as much on power. I'm not doing as much like weightlifting and all of that stuff. I'm actually trying to like lose some muscle so that I have less weight and so that my punches are coming off faster.
Or bigger people, like from middleweight to heavyweight. And the thing is, don't be surprised, okay? This is a photo. This is a photo of one of the bigger guys that he was sparring. But in the past, you know, like maybe a few years ago, he was fighting a guy in Mayweather's camp. He was a bigger guy. I think he was like a middleweight or something like that. He was whooping his ass. One time he was like on live whooping a bigger guy's ass. I mean, he's just beating bigger guys like middleweights and stuff. He's done that in sparring forever. Remember this story? I've brought it up a million times and I've showed this clip a million times, but on Ellie set back This story of this guy saying how Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out this heavyweight.
Tell me the story. What happened?
Tank, what's the one boy name?
No, don't say a name. I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Oh, no, you're right.
But tell people what happened.
Man, I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A heavyweight
Boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the rope just like this. I'm like, I thought he died. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he died.
Hey, I've seen him knock out some heavyweights. He might knock all the ass out now.
You knocked out a heavyweight?
Yeah.
How was that?
Because I hit harder than Wilder.
Now, granted, the heavyweights that Gervonta Tank Davis is whooping and sparring is not like, all-time great heavyweights, all right? And it shouldn't be. But he's sparring the level of heavyweight that, more experienced than Jake Paul, right? But Jake Paul has beaten those heavyweights himself, all right? I'm thinking that is the caliber of heavyweight that Gervonta Tank Davis is sparring, but he's whooping their asses. And that's a good thing. I feel with Jake Paul sparring Raymond Ford, to me, it looked like Raymond Ford got the best of him. It looked like Jake Paul was a little exhausted, and it looked like Raymond Ford wasn't. It looked like Jake Paul was a little disappointed in his performance, and Raymond Ford was trying to give him a pick-me-up. Like, just kind of letting them know. No, like, we do this and do that. It just looked like Raymond Ford was in a confident, secure place, more dominant place, the more alpha out the two in the ring. And that's Raymond Ford. That ain't Gervonta Davis. I love Raymond Ford. I have him on my fighters list. But still, I don't think anyone thinks he's as skillful or as powerful as Gervonta Tank Davis.
Or had been throwing fits a few weeks ago when Gervonta had announced that he would be fighting Jake Paul in, I believe it's coming up in just about a month, or a little bit less than a month, and that he would not be, at least immediately, he would not be rematching Lamont Roach. So people went all up in arms. Shout out to my guy, Big Dog Willie, who even right now is claiming that Gervonta Davis is going to go try to fight in WWE or something like that when he gets done with Jake Paul. But the truth of the matter is that Gervonta Davis is coming back to boxing. He's always said that he's coming back to boxing. He said he's going to run off, get this bag real quick, and he'll be right back. Well, as you see, the 135-pound WBA, the WBA, where he holds his 135-pound championship, has not stripped him. They said that they were going to look into it if he had not rematched Lamont Roach, but nothing ever really came of that. So as of right now, he still has his 135-pound title. But I'm telling you, the way that things are panning out, I don't think he's going to go back down to the 135-pound division. I think he's going to go to the 140-pound division where really and truly all the smoke is there. Add to it the fact that when he fights Jake Paul, he's going to be fighting Jake Paul at a higher weight than he would necessarily be fighting guys at 135 pounds. You're probably not going to see him drain down for the fight. I don't think he's going to bulk up at all. But usually when guys play with their weight and they go up and allow themselves to fight at a higher weight or fight people at higher weight classes,
Tank versus Jake Paul.
I feel like it's gonna be a good fight, entertaining. It's an exhibition, so we're gonna see how serious they really take it. But I don't know, they both getting a lot of money, so congrats to them.
What if you had it who has the edge in this fight?
I feel like Tank has the edge for sure. He's a real fighter, and got skills, high IQ fighter. Regardless of the weight, I've personally seen Tank, spar heavyweights, and even me, I spar heavyweights, So the weight's not really too much, for a lot of great fighters, so I feel like Tank gonna get it for sure.
Do you think he kind of be an advantage because he's small and fast? Someone said that. I'm I didn't think about that actually.
Yeah, possibly. He gonna see a lot of Jake Paul's punches coming. He can be able to evade them and then set him up for a big counter.
Wait, but do you think this is gonna be different than the other Jake Paul fights we've seen, against Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez? I know a lot of people weren't the happiest with that, but I feel like Tank's gonna give him a different fight. Do you think so?
I think so. We'll see how he adapts because a lot of people think it's hard, for a small guy to be fighting a bigger guy, but it's also hard for a big guy to be fighting a smaller guy. It's a small target, they're very fast, so we'll have to see how he adapts to it.
Wait, and is Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson really happening?
Yeah, that's happening.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a date already, or what's going on?
I'm not. I don't think there's a date yet, but it's definitely an official fight and it's happening.
So what do you got to say about that? What's going on?
It's gonna be a great show. Floyd's gonna do his thing. Hopefully I'm on the undercard so I can put on a great show as well.
No, really? You guys already talked about that?
Not yet, no, but we'll have to see. Yeah, for sure.
And are you gonna fight again this year? What's next with you, Carmel?
I don't know. At the moment, we haven't heard nothing. We're just waiting. Staying patient. Staying ready. But I should be back at least one more time before the end of the year.
A lot of money to help him in camp, some easy money to come spar somebody or whatever. Go get your money, right? But what's funny to me is for someone who had nothing positive to say about this fight, and someone who was critical of Tank Davis for taking this fight and tried to shit on Tank Davis for taking this fight, he sure is doing whatever he can to be a part of it. He sure is doing whatever he can to be a part of the fight. And then to take that a step deeper and a step further, for someone who doesn't want to talk about Tank Davis anymore, he sure is making moves to ensure that he is continued to be mentioned with Gervonta Tank Davis. Shakur Stevenson's not stupid. The new firm that he hired to do his PR work and get him to do these interviews and try to enhance his brand, they not stupid. Jay Prince not stupid. Josh Dubin not stupid. The people around Shakur Stevenson have been building social media brands, building boxers, and building talent in different industries at the same time. I mean, for a long time. They know how this shit works. They not dumb. They know the conversation that is going to surround Shakur helping Jake Paul. Tank Davis' biggest rival going to camp to help Jake Paul. If Jake Paul has any kind of success in the fight, Jake Paul was successful because Shakur Stevenson is on a different level and he helped prepare Jake Paul for the fight with Tank. That's why Jake Paul did so good. They know this, bro. And to me, that's the problem that I always have with these guys like Shakur Stevenson. You can throw Lamont Roach in there. You can throw Devin Haney in there, bro. You can throw Keyshawn Davis in there if you want to. My issue is they won't admit what it is. And I guess it's an ego thing, it's a pride thing, because I get it, bro.
money.
Fire. I get the chance to pick a great business mind brain and help give him some game in the process. I'm down. Oh, we know you're down. So for one, you look like you hating on Tank, bro. Like you specifically. Two, this is the same guy that said he's not watching the fight, but now you're somewhat taking part in the fight because you're trying to gather or help prepare Jake Paul for the fight. And then this is what Shakur Stevenson does, in my opinion. Shakur will make questionable choices, do certain things, right? And then afterwards, he'll be like, yeah, now that I got y'all attention, y'all, I got everybody mad at me. Bro, the stuff you're doing is weird. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, to me, it's almost close to like Karen behavior, in the sense that Karens, you see some of these Karens and they do all this extra stuff and then act like the victim. And I told you that's one of the main problems with Gen Z, right? Where Gen Z, they will do just weird things, make weird choices, make weird decisions. And then they'll act like, man, I'm Tupac, me against the world. Everybody's against me. Everybody's not against you. You're just doing weird things. You're making weird decisions. It's weird behavior, so on and so forth. So let's ultimately recap. We got to do the Boxing Ego recap to see what's really going on here.
It says 150 to 200 mil.
That'd be the most any athletes ever made in one event, in one night. Where are they getting that money?
I mean, it's Netflix.
Okay. Mike Tyson didn't make that. Jake Paul didn't make that.
No. 20 million, I would believe, not 200 million.
20 million seems realistic.
That's a lot.
Even because Netflix is bigger, but there's no pay-per-view model. So, and Gervonta is a big pay-per-view draw, especially for being a lighter weight class.
Yeah.
So 20 to even 40 I can get.
Oof, that's a lot.
40 I can understand.
When push comes to shove, though, like 20.
Like Canelo's getting that 40.
Yeah.
But Gervonta Davis, he was, especially on Showtime, he's a big pay-per-view star.
Yeah.
He's a knockout artist. 200 mil is just completely false.
Man, I mean.
You swipe, what it says swipe to read more? What else does it say?
No, there's nothing there. That's probably from the original.
God, Jake is so much bigger.
Yeah, man.